the truth. It's the truth. It's the true kind of love. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the true kind of love.
When I watched this episode years ago, all the while comparing it along with the final episodes of Future to Change Your Mind, I found this the weakest out of the 4 final episodes of Future, mainly the fact that it's trying too hard to be humorous, but at the same time, looking back, I was really focusing on people's critiques rather than thinking about my own. I literally not get the premise of the title itself, and mainly focusing on the episode, ignoring the implications of the title that, let's just say, this made me understand on how the title can instantly make an episode more meaningful. So after his failed attempts back at Homeworld, Steven arrives back on Earth and assists to the Crystal Gems that everything is fine despite the fact that he looks way worse than before, since he is in this state through the majority of the episode up until the very end, and the majority of the episode is him going to Little Homeworld to make things worse no matter what he does. And since that he planned on moving on from Little Homeworld, I'm really getting the impression that this Steven that we've seen from the past and how we view him as a jerk is literally him just trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel when it comes to his predicament. Out of the 4 episodes that I compared to Future, this episode I focused the least. Mainly the fact that I view it differently, and looking at it now, even if you may find it humorous, I honestly found it a lot more serious, considering that in the state of Steven's predicament, he's just trying to make the best out of it, even though it's the total opposite. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but this is how people with PTSD would go through if they're in the emotions of Steven. Now granted, powers are obviously out of the question when it comes to real life experiences, but at the same time, looking at Steven in this episode and how he's trying to keep everything together, it made me see the portrayal of PTSD a lot more better with his experiences with the 3 places that he goes to. The garden that Peridot is teaching to the other students, the anvil that he broke that Bismuth was using, and of course the baseball that turned out well at the end, but with his excitement and thrill, he caused an explosion. Don't believe me? Look at these reactions that he's making. This sums up a lot that he knows there's no going back, and the position that he's in, he can't be able to make things normally in front of other characters. I don't even see any selfishness in Steven's character, mainly the fact that his state of PTSD has gone to the point where he can't be able to run away from his problems, as in running away from the other characters and going to different states, because believe me, if he did went to different states right now, he would have actually deserved some consequences for his actions. Because despite my opinions towards him, reforming Jasper was something I wasn't on board with, I'm pretty sure he won't be able to do the same with the other humans in different states. My impressions of this episode was mainly in the fact that I view it as an episode to enjoy back then during my binge watch, because I was honestly looking forward to the following episode, since the ending of that episode is what got me invested into Steven Universe, aside from a few factors. I did saw clips of this episode before I binge watched the series, and this is the only clip that I saw when it comes to the intervention that the characters have made in order to stop Steven from running away from his problems. Because even though that it is a shame that we're not getting a lot of screen time of having these characters figuring out Steven's problems, I have to admit it's still done well, and I really gave this episode too much criticism and a different point of view than how I view it as what it is today. And when it came to this clip in general, I literally see so many people criticizing Steven to the point that they're overlooking the bigger picture in all this. At this point, seeing the critiques of multiple people while watching these episodes again, it made me understand onto why Steven is acting the way he is, because his dialogue when it comes to the intervention really made me see on how his other side is showing, because to tell you the truth, when you get older, you get new emotions, which is the premise of Inside Out 2 that was released 3 months ago. You need to understand that when you get older, you deal with so many emotions that it's difficult to ignore them. Granted, you would probably move past one emotion that you never experienced in your life, and maybe two, but at the same time, Steven isn't capable of moving forward by moving past emotions while he gets older. This was bound to happen for Steven's character. No matter how you view it, it made me understand that this episode had more of a purpose when it comes to how it's structured, and it's not supposed to be taken lightly when it comes to the comedy that it displayed when Steven came to Little Homeworld. Though the only problem that I have with the episode is the ending. Well, after Steven gets corrupted, it ended. In all honesty, for how I Am My Monster contributes a lot more of how I feel about this franchise as a whole, I'll just express on those details in the following review tomorrow. So yeah, my point of view of this episode has changed, and I don't find it the least best when it comes to this finale if I didn't revisit these episodes and change your mind. I'm just gonna be real with you that if you watch this episode, don't look into it as a comedy sort of episode, knowing full well that it's one of the final episodes of Future. I'm giving this episode an 8.25 out of 10.